Hi, my name is Philip Bach. That's my name when I was born in May 30th of 1940 in Amsterdam, Netherlands. I was born of Jewish parents, and the early years of the war, when the Germans invaded Holland, the Jews were sort of free to wander about and continue their normal schooling and business, etc. But as the war progressed throughout Europe and abroad, there were more constrictions placed on the Jews, including wearing stars and not able to be out at night. And then the Jews, started to be deported to various concentration camps. At that time, it was known that the razzias, which were the house-to-house searching for Jews that was conducted by the Nazis, resulted in any parents with young children were automatically deported and sent to the gas chambers. So the primary concern of my parents at that time, this was towards the middle of 42, was to try to find a hiding place for themselves and for me, their young son. When it became apparent that it was a matter of time before my parents and I might be caught, they started making alternate plans to hide me in case of a searching party. And sure enough, there was a day when the dreaded knock on the door came, and my parents had prepared a plan where they were able to hand me off to a non-Jewish neighbor who consequently hid me in a coal bin. And my parents at that point were deported to the concentration camps. The neighbor was petrified because the next stop on the Nazis' search party was their house. And they went into their house looking for any Jews, and they went and looked in the coal bin, and they used their bayonets to stab through the coal bin to see if there was anybody hidden in it. As a young child, I was told to be quiet, but apparently I did. I was hidden in this coal bin for several days, and then through a marvelous underground group of people that saved many Jews, I was taken through various underground groups from spot to a place about 30 miles from Amsterdam, in a city called Utrecht. And the reason that the underground worked, one party took it 5 miles and so on, is that in case they were ever stopped by Nazis, no one could tell where the party or where the deportation of the child originated. And most of the people that transported children were students. At that time, the largest university in the Netherlands was located in Utrecht. So the young students posed as parents, walking their child, taking their child on the back of their bicycle. And so I ended up in this an orphanage that was run by two women. And the orphanage was a place for unwed mothers, Dutch, non-Jewish unwed mothers, both who were fathered by Dutch men and also by German soldiers. And the women that ran this orphanage were able to sneak in a Jewish child now and then. And so I arrived there, and as I read it in subsequent books, that I peed I peed coal, and my snot was coal, and it was a total chaos, and I was just terrified. And one of the ladies, she was good friends with a doctor who took care of me, and at this point, Jopie's sister, hold it for a second.
Should we stop?
Yeah.
It's on.
Okay. Well, when I was in the orphanage, one of the gals that was an assistant went home to her mother, and her mother was a widow with, in addition to Yanni, who worked at the orphanage, there were 3 other girls, and that would be the oldest was Tini, and Yanni was the next one, and Ans was the third, and then we have here Jopie, who was the youngest, who was not 9 yet.
Wow.
So Yanni went home and said to her mother, zeg het nou, toen Yanni naar huis kwam.
Nou, dat ze of moeder een jodenjongetje wilde hebben. En toen zei mijn moeder, nou nee, want ik ben weduwe en 4 dochters. Dat vind ik wel een beetje gevaarlijk. En toen zei Jannie, weet je hoe die heet? En toen zei mijn moeder, nou, hoe heet die? Toen zegt ze, Flip. Nou, toen zei mijn moeder, nou, dan nemen we hem.
Okay, so Yanni went home and said to her mother, would you, there's a nice little boy at the orphanage, would you take him for the war, during the war, and hide him? So her mother said, no, she said, that's too much of a risk for us all. So Yanni said, do you know what his name is? And she said, no. She said, Flipje. And her mother, her late husband's name was Flipje. And she said, God took one and brought another. We'll take him.
Wow. Yeah.
Okay. En toen?
En toen?
Was ik in huis, zeg maar een beetje wat er toen nog gebeurd is, over die jaren of zoiets. Beetje.
Nou.
Ja, wat je moeder gezegd heeft over hem,
oh,
over zijn
ja,
ouders.
Ja, hij speelde gewoon buiten. En hij was gewoon dus een Indisch jongetje voor de buurt. Dus hij deed het nogal gauw in zijn broek met buitenspelen. En dus toen had gezegd, tante, zo noemde hij mijn moeder, dan als hij bij het bosjes is, dat hij daar dan aan moet plassen. En dat heeft hij gedaan en de volgende morgen kwam er een buurvrouw. Die hebben een jongen en een meisje. En het meisje zegt 's avonds bij het eten, mama, het Flipje van Spier, die heeft een heel ander plassetje als onze Kees.
What happened is that her mother, I call her Tante, Tante, which means aunt, and she decided that she couldn't keep a kid that's not even 3 in the house for the duration. So she said, you know, you just take him out and play with him, okay? Because she was under the impression that my parents were in Indonesia, and I had a phony birth certificate that I was half Jewish. And
it's on right now.
Okay, I'm going to back up just a bit here. When I was in the orphanage, the 2 ladies that ran the orphanage also had girls in the neighborhood that were assistants. And one of the girls was her sister, Yanni. Now here is Jopie, and her mother and sisters saved my life during the war. Her sister came home. Zeg nou wat je zuster Jannie naar huis kwam.
Oh, van...
Zeg maar.
Jannie kwam thuis en die zegt tegen mijn moeder, willen we een jodenjongetje nemen? Toen zegt mijn moeder, nou, dat vind ik wel een beetje gevaarlijk. Met 4 dochters en ik ben weduwe. Dus toen zegt mijn zuster, weet je hoe die heet? En toen zegt mijn moeder, nou, hoe heet die dan? En toen zei mijn zuster, Flip. En toen zei mijn vader heette Flip. Dus mijn moeder zegt, nou, dan nemen we hem.
So her sister Yanni went home and said to her mother, will you take a Jewish boy for the duration of the war and hide him? And her mother said, no, that's too much of a risk. You know, there's just the 4 of you girls, and Jopie here was the youngest. She was not quite 9, and the other girls were all a few years apart, 12, 15, 17. And so here were 4 girls and a widowed mother, and to take on a Jewish boy who was very dark-skinned in contrast with the fair-skinned Dutch girls, it was a big risk. So her mom said no. Understandable. But her sister Yanni said, do you know his name? She said, no. And she said, his name is Flip. And that was her late husband's name. And then her mother said, well, God took one Flip and he brought another. We'll take him. So then I fitted in the house. And Jopie did not know about being Jewish or whatever. She thought my parents were in Indonesia and couldn't get back to Holland. Ik kan daar een beetje overdag lopen en zo meenemen.
Ja. Nou ja, jij speelde gewoon buiten, want buiten wisten ze niet beter of mijn vriendinnetjes en vriendjes dat jij een Indisch jongetje was. Alleen, ik nam jou overal mee heen. En jij vond die Duitse soldaten marcheren en zingen zo prachtig dat ik bleef wel eens langs gaan kijken voor jou. Dat mijn moeder vaak zei, blijf nou niet zo lang staan. En het heeft ze heel veel keren gezegd dat ik wel eens dacht, waarom zegt ze dat toch altijd?
Her mother made a decision that she could not keep me at that time, 2.5-year-old child, in the house for the duration. So Jopie was told just to take him out and, you know, play normally. And everybody didn't know any different than I was a kid from Indonesia. And but her mother told Jopie, don't stay anywhere too long. You don't want to raise any suspicions. But one of the things I really liked were the German soldiers, because they were marching, they had beautiful uniforms on, and they sang. And as a matter of fact, Jopie said that I kept telling her, when I grow up, I want to be a German soldier. Een soldaat. En I'll go back to, zeg maar even van dat plassetje.
Oh ja. Nou, hij buiten spelen en dan te lang spelen en dan, dan deed je het wel eens in je broek omdat je dus te lang wachtte. Dus tante die zegt, weet je wat, doe maar als je bij de ijsbaan, woonden we vlakbij, daar bent, doe het dan even in de bosjes. Nou, toen, een paar dagen later kwam een buurvrouw bij mijn moeder aan de deur, want dat meisje had gezegd, het Flipje van Spier, die heeft een heel ander plassertje als onze Kees. Dus toen zegt ze tegen mijn moeder, dan keek ze naar beneden naar jou, want jij stond overal bij altijd. Keek ze naar jou, zeker een jodenjongetje. Wel, nee, zegt mijn moeder, denk je dat mijn leven gaat wagen? Want je kon je beste buren niet vertrouwen.
Yeah. She's talking now about the time that, as young children, boys will be boys. If they had to pee, they went in the bushes. And one day, one of the little girls, saw that I was circumcised, and she had not seen anything like that. And she told her mother, who subsequently went to her mother and said, are you hiding a Jewish kid? And her mother said, what are you, nuts? Do you think I want to take that kind of a risk? Absolutely not. Then I was told after that to, be in private. And I want to have her talk a little bit about Well, there was an ongoing. Vertel even van de vliegtuigen en de bommen en al dat.
Oh, dat ik je dan in die Duitse kade, dat wij daar liepen en dat wij woonden vlak bij de spoorlijn. En toen gingen de Engelsen dus het spoor en het fort bombarderen. En toen liepen wij daar met z'n tweetjes. En toen kwam zo dat vliegtuig zo naar beneden.
Ja.
En toen ben ik met jou langs de weg van die
Ja.
gaten.
Ja.
Eenmansgaten.
Eenmansgaten. Daar
Ja.
ben ik met jou ingesprongen, want ik denk ook dat, ja.
There was the Allies, the English. We were not far from a German depot where they had stored their ammunitions and their supplies, and there were also railroad tracks. So the English came overhead quite low and started machine gunning the tracks and also bombing the depot. So there were bunkers made for one person. And here this kid threw me, and she threw herself on top of me, so that we wouldn't be hit by stray bullets. So that was sort of a way of life, We were told there were sirens that went off when the planes, the sirene, huh?
Ja.
And that was the signal they were incoming.
Luchtalarm. En als
Ja.
dan de sirene veilig, dat is dan 1 toon, hè?
Yeah.
Nou, dan gingen we eruit.
Oh,
Je moet wachten tot het veilig is.
when the sirens took on a different sound, then you knew it was safe. So it went interrupted siren meant that incoming, and then a constant was safe.
Clear.
Yeah, clear. So there was always, a danger, always a fear of betrayal, and then we went into. Vertel me even over die winter dan van 45.
Ja, dat zeg je net met het eten. Mijn zusters waren al van tevoren eten wezen halen in het noorden, hè, Groningen. 2 keer met een fiets zonder banden.
Ja.
Maar de oorlog was alleen. Jannie en Ans waren naar het noorden vertrokken. Alleen jij, ik en Tini met mijn moeder waren dus alleen met 44, 45 thuis. Toen hadden we nog wel wat te eten. We hebben nooit van de gaarkeuken gegeten.
No, we never had to go to the
Central kitchen is that.
yeah, what do you call the kitchens? The soup kitchens. We always were able to. The sisters went on bicycles without tires, and they walked, and then they stayed at night. They stayed in farmers' barns, to sleep. So then they came home with some food, and they were covered with lice, luizen.
Luizen, ja.
Yeah, and we had it.
Everywhere.
Heeft tante ons alle 2 petroleum op ons hoofd gedaan met een handdoek eroverheen. Ja. En daar hebben we bijna een hele dag mee gelopen.
Petroleum on our heads to kill the lice.
Did it do the job? Did it kill them? Did it kill the lice?
Ja, zijn ze dood, die luizen?
We waren ze kwijt hoor. Ja.
So the war ended. En toen de oorlog eindigde, zeg maar even van wat er gebeurd is met mijn moeder dan.
Oh, het was dus zomer. En ik zit het was vreselijk warm. En toen zat ik in het raam. En toen zei ik tegen mijn moeder, er komt een hele mooie vrouw aan. Met zwart haar en een bos bloemen. En toen kwam ze onze kant uit. Ik zeg, ze komt hierheen. En dat was jouw moeder.
She was talking about the war now had ended. The Canadians liberated Netherlands. And, my sisters and my aunt did not know anything about my parents. And one night she's sitting in the living room and she's looking outside and she says, oh, there's a nice looking woman coming our way with a big bouquet of flowers. And
Jij lag al te slapen.
I was sleeping, and that was my mother. My mother weighed 75 pounds. And her mother woke me up and said, Flip, this is your
mother.
This is your mother. I don't know. I said, hello, madam. I didn't know about a mother. So that's how no one survived, just my mother. My father and all my mother's brothers and sisters and family, all, were gassed. My father survived, but he died in the camps from typhus.
Oh boy.
So then, vertel even over op de gracht, op die...
Oh ja, er gingen dus nog geen treinen naar Amsterdam. Alleen je kon nog met een boot naar Amsterdam. En toen ging dan de eerste keer dat wij jou weg wilden brengen, dat je met je moeder mee naar Amsterdam kon, ging je de trap af en toen was je op de boot en toen keerde je om en mijn moeder en ik stonden daarboven aan de trap en dan zei je, tante, je handen weer naar ons toe. En het is 5 keer gebeurd, geloof ik, 4 of 5 keer. En zeg maar de 5e keer misschien, de 6e keer, toen zei mijn moeder, als jij nou eens meegaat, ik dus. Nou, dat heb ik gedaan en toen ging het goed.
My mother wanted to take me back to Amsterdam. And at the time, the trains weren't running. This is now May of June of 45. So the only way you could get from Utrecht to Amsterdam was with a barge. So the day I was going to leave with my mother, they came to say goodbye in one of the canals. And, no, I wouldn't go. Just my sister, my aunt. So my mother apparently was very good. She says, I understand. So 5 times I wouldn't go, crying. So the 6th time, her mother said to Jopie, because we were closest, huh? Why don't you go to Amsterdam with them? So that he has his sister with him. So she did, and then the following Monday we all came back on the barge, and then I went back with my mother. So
it softened it.
Yeah, so this is how these people are the real heroes. I mean, they took the risks of saving a child at the risk of death to them.
Right.
So they are, and her mother posthumously has been awarded a medal for being a most righteous Gentile.
That's wonderful.
So now that we're older, this story, after we're gone, nobody knows. So
that's right.
This is wonderful. This is a wonderful opportunity for us to.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is so good.
Okay.